Hello, everyone. I'd like to call this evening's Kings Local Schools Board of Education public meeting to order. Mr. Morrow, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Phillips,
Here.
Ms. Groff,
Here.
Ms. Cowan,
Here.
Mr. Skirl,
Here.
Mr. Belfrom.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Skirl,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. First on the agenda this evening are the reports and presentations that we have. Hand it over to Mr. Sears.
Yes, thank you, President Beltran and the rest of the board and those in attendance tonight. At the end of the school year, each year, we take the opportunity to celebrate and recognize the amazing educators that have made the decision for what's best for them to retire and move on to the next phase of their lives. We always look at it as a celebration because our, teachers in these roles for many years make decisions for what's best for kids and are selfless and give to students over and over and over. And this is one decision they get to make for what's best for them. So we take an opportunity to truly celebrate that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Spinner as we recognize our retirees this year.
Thank you, Mr. Sears, King's Board of Education. It's my honor to recognize the following staff members retiring this school year. If you would, please stand and come forward to the front when your name is called. Mrs. Gould is going to present you with some beautiful gifts from the King's Local School District. First on the agenda this evening, Ana Sanchez Denny. Ana has taught for 26 years. For 15 of those years, she taught English to speakers of other languages, 9 of those in Kings. During her career, she took a 17-year hiatus to raise her children, who all graduated from Kings. Go Knights. During retirement, she plans to stay in Ohio, but first on the travel agenda is a 6-week trip to Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific. Congratulations, Ana.
Thank you.
Next up, Julia Kurtz. Julia has taught in the Kings Local School District for the entirety of her career. She began as a media center specialist at Kings High School in 1990. She has also served as a media center specialist at Columbia Intermediate and a 5th grade teacher. But the last 12 years, she has served as a 6th grade teacher at CIS. In her retirement, she plans to read, run, travel, and play pickleball. Congratulations, Julia. Cheryl Water. Cheryl has been teaching for 40 years, 35 of those in Kings. She has served in many roles over her career as an LD tutor, 1st grade teacher, intervention specialist, and most recently, a reading intervention teacher at JF Burns Elementary. She plans to do some traveling during her retirement, including visits to her parents and siblings in New York and her grandchildren and family in St. Louis. She is also hoping to do some decluttering. When you get finished with that, I imagine there may be some others. We'll keep you busy. Heidi Strong. Heidi has taught science for 34 years. 33 of those were at Kings. Her retirement plans include taking a gap year to travel, visit her sisters, and establish a pollinator garden.
Yes.
I have a lot of questions about a pollinator garden. We'll talk later.
Save bees.
Save the bees. She said that after that, she's not really sure what she will do, but has no problem venturing into the unknown. Congratulations, Heidi. Eva Garcher. Eva was hired at King's in 1999 as nursing coordinator for the district and licensed school nurse for Columbia. She spent 10 years at CIS and then moved to the high school and junior high for another 10 years. In 2020, she moved to school nurse position at SLE. In retirement, she said she is looking forward to continuing God's work and serving at Our Lady of Hope Family of Parishes in Lebanon and Morrow. Congratulations, Eva. Thank you. Unable to be here tonight, but would still like to say a few words about Miss Karen Farelli. Karen has been a school nurse for 39 years, and 37 of those were at JF Burns. She is looking forward to spending time with family and friends at her house on Norris Lake. She is also planning on traveling, spending time with grandchildren, and volunteering at her church. Congratulations, Karen. If Anna, Julia, Eva, Cheryl, and Heidi would please join us in the front to be recognized by the board and take some lovely pictures with Mrs. Gould.
Right, Mom?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And then you guys can, if you want to.
Exactly. You guys gonna come here?
Yeah, they're gonna come up, yeah.
Come down. So pyramid comes down from the I have to say no to the pyramid. If you get down. Bring Harry to the front. Then we'll have board member. Where's Sachi? You're right there, then. And then now let me see if I need to put you in top. I can't see you. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Move down here. Hey, you want to come right here for me, John? We need to be good right there. Okay, let's get in here. We have to switch back. Thanks so
What's to say?
Oh, yeah, I just say, first, it's amazing to hear. I was trying to take notes. I don't think I got everyone's years, but that's a lot of experience. Unfortunately, it's walking out the door. We'll miss you, of course. That's that laugh of, well, too late now. And then I took some notes with all you're doing. I just wanted to say, I think I can fit in an extra suitcase if you just want to see if I can make it to Australia with you. And Julia, I hear about pickleball. Sounds fascinating. I wonder I'm going to have to learn. But yeah, you had to travel and doing all these amazing things that you probably been putting off. Heidi been putting off that pollinator because in the summer you're just getting ready for the next school year. So we're gonna miss all of you. Congratulations, job well done. We appreciate everything that you've done for this community and for these students. And yeah, enjoy it and don't be strangers because as we always say, once a night, you're always a night.
I want to, I just want to say to all of the teachers, I know your years of experience, you blessed many first-year teachers
Absolutely.
as they came into the district as mentors, telling them, oh, to stay on this person like the principal's right side, you need to do this or that, which is information that those newbies to our district really need to know. So I also appreciate everything that you gave not only to the students, but to your colleagues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think you guys said it well.
Congratulations, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, give it back to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Next, I'm going to have Mrs. Gould is here with some of our other amazing educators, and she had a little project for them to work on. I'll let Mrs. Gould talk about it.
President Belfram and members of the board and King's administration, our visitors, I've got a really kind of exciting little presentation here tonight. So last summer, you may have noticed, we had a little lipstick put on our boardroom. We got some new carpet, new valances and new paint job. And I came in and I thought, there's nothing on the walls. So I had an idea to go get some canvas, and I asked each of our art teachers if they would take on this project, even though they were so busy already, and they were all gracious enough to take on the project. And so every building put their own little creativity so that we can decorate the walls here in the KEC. So I'm going to start with the first one. I have Matt. This is from the King's Early Childhood Center. And every student, if you look around the edge, I don't know if Matt can turn around, but every student has their thumbprint on this picture. So add a little color here to the boardroom. Our second one, I have to give props. This is from JF Burns, and our teacher Laura Asiano. She couldn't be here tonight, but she said mainly her fourth graders worked on this mandala, and they put their own little touch onto it, and I think it's fabulous. And it's on our school colors, and so I think it's going to be a really nice addition here to our boardroom. Our next one comes from KME, art teacher Jenna Hudson. She couldn't be here tonight either. But this is really interesting. What she did, it's made of hearts, and she also has some sewing with yarn in it. But each of the, if you can see the hearts on there, what they did is every student in the building had a piece of this artwork, and they took toilet paper rolls and they bent them to look like a heart, and they put them in paint, and then they had put them all over the canvas. So she did kind of add some texture to it with the yarn and sewed some areas, but every student again at KME was able to touch this, and it'll be on our boardroom walls for a long time. Our next one is from South Lebanon Elementary. Stacy Hofford is the art teacher there again. They were all ready to come next week, but since we changed the board meeting, a lot of them had other plans for tonight. You can see they took a little take. One thing they didn't forget was their therapy dog, little Ollie's on there. You can see him on there, and that was their take, and I think it's really fabulous. I love all the colors, and again, another piece that'll be great on the walls. Our next piece is from Columbia Intermediate. Mr. Thomas, Andrew Thomas, he said mostly sixth graders worked on this piece, and they just kind of, he told them that we're looking just for something to represent CIS. And so the students just kind of went to town and did all kinds of things like kind of academic, and it looks like they kind of added a bunch of little things in their sports and science and all kinds of things. Well, well, I think that's the way they did it. I don't know. He wrote CIS up in the corner, so I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to. Is that better? Yeah, I think Noel. Yeah, I think that maybe that'd be the way to go. Yeah. All right, I'd like to call up King's Junior High art teacher Katie Hagan. She's here tonight, and I want her to be able to tell you in her own words. This is a beautiful piece that I think she probably did a lot of it, but come on.
I did have a lot of student help. Even student help that didn't agree with some of my ideas even. So a lot of changes went into this. We started with the building, which I don't know, may or may not be there in a few years. The canvas may outlast it. I don't know. They added the knight and the shield. And then we wanted to incorporate, I asked a lot of people different things about the junior high and what it meant, and some different memories they had. And like Washington, DC trip came up, and Kings Island, and just different memories. Well, there was trying to incorporate that. We decided to add all of those words into the shape of the horse and that night. So if you, there's all different ones from the different colors of teams. Our red, white and blue teams, pack day, just all different things. And so that's how we incorporated that. We were pushed because I originally thought it was supposed to be due by October 1st. And, so I got mine done on time, so.
I was gonna mention that Katie was the first one to make sure it got here, but. Now, for our last one, we have Mrs. Carrie Cook, who is the art teacher, is in charge of this whole piece from Kings High School. And I have to say that when she brought it over, I almost brought tears to my eyes. Come and explain your piece of art, Carrie.
So I will tell you the truth. So I'm the advisor for the National Art Honor Society, and I asked a couple of my kids to paint the canvas. And they brought it back to me about almost 2 months later, unfinished. Pretty much just started. And I wasn't going to finish that painting. It's not the type of work I do. And so if I was going to do it, I was going to do it my way. So my daughter and I actually did this. It actually traveled to Purdue. And my yeah. So I've become the three-dimensional teacher for Kings. So I had this idea. I was brought up in band. I marched for Lakota, and the fight song. You got to have the fight song. So I sculpted the staff and the music notes, and each piece of paper is hand watercolored and then Mod Podged on top of the staff. So, and it's all of the King's fight song.
So cool.
So go Knights.
Yeah, if you get a chance to look at these, you can see it's all decoupage, the sheet music, and I just thought it was so clever. So thank you for that, Carrie. And I thank you, all of you. Thank you for being here, Katie. And I appreciate all of our art teachers who took on this project. And I know they all have so much to do. And some of them didn't get us to us, until like this week, but I was thankful to get them. And soon we're going to get our guys to get those hung up in here soon. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was just I was gonna say, I like them all, so just kidding on what I said earlier. But yeah, thank you. Well, again, it's another one of those things, you're taking all this time out from all of the other things that you're doing, and we really appreciate that. The zhuzhing of this room, and I'm gonna embarrass Mrs. Gould because I tease her all the time. I think last week was PR school communicators week. This is just one more thing that Dawn does. She's also the interior designer of the boardroom. And probably running Mr. Lucky around getting everything that she needs. So we appreciate you two, Dawn, for everything you've done in here. Really brightened up the room. And so, yeah, I think it's gonna look fantastic, and I hope they're all here for a very long time. Thank you.
I think it's amazing being in other districts. Sometimes the art teacher isn't part of the entire school. At King's,
Yeah.
the arts are as important to what we do each and every day. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, well said. Well, just to conclude this piece, I'm amazed by the individual personalization that each school took on. So kudos to you guys. Thanks for taking that on. It's going to be a tremendous piece to what we do, but it all just the individuality, the personal expression, and we talk about personalized learning, and that's a way to do it. You guys tapped onto some passions and things that the kids are interested in and engage them. So thank you very much for that. Next on our agenda is our monthly favorite, is our Raise presentation, and we are fortunate to have Taylor and Gabby here this week. So I will turn it over to you guys.
Well, thank you for having us again. My name is Taylor Kleiss, and this is Gabby Cabrera. And we're super excited to showcase all of the awesome things going on at KHS this month. Starting off with our athletics, our spring sports have all had incredible seasons across the board. Our softball team came in first in the ECC for the first time since 2010. And this season, I have the pleasure of being on the varsity team. We have now entered the postseason tournament and will be playing in the district semifinals this Thursday at Princeton against Fairfield at 5 o'clock. Our baseball team is also headed into their postseason tournament with an 18-9 regular season record. And of course, our men's tennis, they recently closed out their season, all players having a great time and also an incredible season.
And then next up, our men's lacrosse team are also ECC champs. They ended their regular season with a 17-1 record and are hoping to go pretty far in the tournament. Our women's lacrosse team ended second in the ECC with a 15-3 record. Their first tournament game is this Friday at the Castle. And then our track team is breaking all kinds of records. Our boys 4x1 and 4x2 team have set school records, and as well as steeplechase runner Lucy Marquitos.
We had our final signing day of the school year with 7 seniors signing to further their athletic and academic careers. This includes Colton Weisbrod, Sam Lockwood, Riley Platter, Paul Kelly, Anthony Robinson, Jacob Repido, and Jackson Unruh.
And then we have our athletes of the week. We had actually a bunch this time. Grace Parkers and Abby Trapp are both softball players. And then our 4x1 runners, Vicent Santiago, Paul Kelly, Nate Lyman, and then Brennan Johnson.
Heading into our academics, our Spanish club had their last meeting of the school year. They got to break into their piñatas that they have been working on for the past 2 months. This is something that is highly anticipated for the Spanish club all year.
And then our National Honor Society hosted their 2nd annual dodgeball tournament. So we just had a big assembly and students all got to watch teams of juniors and seniors compete in dodgeball. So yeah.
We recently administered our Seal of Biliteracy test. 45 students took this test in 4 different languages: Arabic, French, German, and Spanish. We're still awaiting some results, but so far 25 seniors have earned that seal in their chosen second language. So we're super proud of all of them.
And then on to our theater department. They just recently hosted their spring musical, which was, of course, The Little Shop of Horrors. All 4 performances went amazing, and we are always so impressed by their talent and all the hard work they put into these shows.
This year, our student council put on prom. It was at on the riverboat this year. We've had amazing student feedback and how great of a time that they had. For our prom court, we had seniors Bella Land and Riley Platter for prom king and queen.
And then we recently hosted our Kings freshman camp, or better known around the high school as KFC. So the race team puts this on every year, and this is where the 8th grade class all comes down to the high school. They're split into small groups, which we call families, and they're all led by high school volunteers. It's always a really good time for everyone. They play games, they get to know each other, and we teach them about the 5 pillars of Raise and kind of just what it means to be a knight. Taylor and I both have volunteered for it the past 2 years. It's such a good time, and yeah.
Then we have our KHS Symphonic Band. They recently performed at the OMEA State Festival. They played beautifully and they're in the highest ranking, Superior. The band also just announced their performance at Carnegie Hall in June 2025. So definitely something to look forward to.
And then for our final student spotlight, we have senior Grace Sims. She was just named valedictorian for the class of 2024. She's very involved both academically and athletically. She plays lacrosse. She leads the ECC for assists this year, so she's very good at lacrosse as well. She took on tennis this year. She is part of National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, and Spanish Club. She was also a member of Kings Against Cancer, which worked to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And then she is on to the University of Tennessee to study biology on the pre-med track. So we are so proud of Grace.
For our teacher spotlight, we have Mrs. King, or better known at the high school as Mama King. She's a social studies teacher at the high school, teaching AP, US government, and intro to law. Each year, she takes her government students on a trip to New York City and DC. She is also well known for running clubs at the high school, such as Mock Trial and Student Council. Gabby and I both get to work closely with Mrs. King on Student Council as sophomore class president and vice president.
And then that's all we have for you. Thank you so much for this experience. I really enjoyed this. And thank you so much for your patience as I kind of stutter through some of these slides. But yeah, have a great summer.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, for that. Gabby, you never have to apologize. You've been fantastic all year with that. It takes a lot to stand up. This might be your second biggest crowd. So you've done it when no one's here. So we really appreciate you guys. It's a great job.
Thank you both.
And my son was on the previous 4x1 record track team. And when I called him and told him that his record was broken, no one was more excited than he was. So there you go.
I just want to say, Gabby, you have shown us the Power 5 skills.
Yes.
You're a good communicator to all of us. You thought critically when you were stuttering through a slide or two, and what could you do? The performance this evening was just outstanding. You solved the problem of what to do, and you're ready to go out there and just meet the world head on.
And be back next year, the two of you, right? You committing now? It's public record. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, girls. Just want to also thank Katie Gibson as well, who was
Yes.
not able to be here. So Taylor, you do an excellent job filling in. Your enthusiasm is amazing. But we appreciate that. But Katie's been a great, great member of Raise as well, and just been a great representation of the senior class at Kings High School. And we wish her all the best moving forward. But thank you for what you've brought to these meetings and all the information you share about the high school. It's really important that our students have this opportunity, and it's really good for us to really hear what's going on a daily basis. So thank you.
I think she wanted to. Yeah.
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 Oh.
We just want to thank you as well for
Yeah,
being the
yeah.
advisors and, helping the girls get organized every week. And it's the highlight of our meeting. So thank you.
Yes.
No, it's a lot of work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our monthly master's facility plan update. And so with us tonight is Charlie Janigan from SHP. Charlie is going to kind of give an overview of all the things that have happened since the last time we met and answer questions that the board has, kind of give you kind of where we are now, where we're going. So I'll turn it over to Charlie.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've kept the pedal to the metal with our 60-day schedule. There's been a ton of meetings that have involved with basically a lot of discovery, just of trying to program the new high school and Columbia. We've met with a lot of different departments, the PE group, the music department, special ed, just general teaching it as a whole, counselors, the list goes on and on. We've gathered a ton of information on how we need to program the new schools. We've toured Columbia. We've run drones over the sites. Last week we ran a 3D scanner called a Matterport scanner at Columbia. We took a group to tour Fairborn High School and Whitten Woods High School. That was a great bus tour. A lot of it was on social media. Learned a lot and could say, hey, we like this, or maybe we don't like that, or oh, we never thought about that. So it's all these activities are stimulating a lot of questions. Today, a small group went to Sycamore to see some of their newer buildings, and next week we'll be at Middletown. So It's no rest for the weary. It's, I know, at the end of the school year, but we have a robust task list and we're holding to that. We had borings drilled at the north and the south portions of the high school. And we've received the report. It's a 51-page report about the content of the earth. And we've not gone through it to give the final analysis, but it tells you what type of clay is there, or what type of silt is there, what type of rock or whatever, sand. It's very exciting stuff. If you are looking to fall asleep at night, I can forward you a PDF. Surveys have happened. So companies have gone out and they've surveyed the topography and they're giving us the existing documentation of what is there. And all of this is coming together here in the middle of the month. And by the end of the month, we hope to go through a couple exercises where we can hopefully conclude the location of the new high school. So a lot of things have been happening, and a lot of folks are getting involved. A lot of the team has been meeting a lot of new people, new faces from our firm and some of the consultants that we're using. So overall, it's been a very, very busy 4 weeks since I've last stood here. Lastly, I forgot to share yesterday, we're in this room with the 3 construction companies who've submitted for consideration to build the building, and they have a 2-step process. So they've given qualifications. Now they're working on pricing for just their staff pricing. It's not full on construction pricing. And the district will see those numbers next week, and then we'll have interviews the following week. So any questions on those activities?
So you said end of the month is when the goal to have a site location for the high school?
Yeah, end of the month is the goal by June 1. If we slip a week or so, because we need to gather some more information or we need some other inputs from other experts, we will. But in the month of June, I basically shared yesterday with the construction companies, by June 15th, it needs to be done, decided upon.
And
So.
have we seen, I haven't, Columbia, exactly where it's going on that building as well?
Yeah, we have it's similar to the concept. The location is back by one of the playgrounds that's been there for 20 plus years. Next Monday, we will be sharing kind of a little more detail to that to the principal and administration group there, and from there we will be happy to share that here so you can see a little more information. It's during master planning, I had some concepts of how it could fit, and it's in that same exact location. So it's a 1-story concept. It would match the existing building. We would match the brick. The goal is to tie that addition on so it looks like it's been there forever.
Any questions? Sure.
Okay, the next slide is just, I know later in the agenda, you have an agreement to or a resolution to accept the master plan as presented by OFCC. This is the initial proposal from them, and it allows the district to get moving and really start to assemble the team and earn credit. When you master plan with OFCC, they don't work as fast as you guys have been working. So when this passed on March 19th, some calls were made to Columbus and said, hey, we want to do this in conjunction with you. And they're really not organized in that manner to give it answers within 6 or 8 weeks, till today. So they have an initial master plan that they've proposed, and the request is for the board to approve that. And then in the meantime, later this year, we will continue to work with them and modify it based off the information they have. A lot of the information they have is very dated. They sent a team out over 10 years ago to walk your buildings, and a lot of the information was based off that. Well, things have aged since then. Other things have been modified since then. Some things have been replaced. So some more investigation and exploration needs to be put into the master planning process. But the approval tonight gets you in the queue, get you approved, and then we will continue to modify the master plan. It's not out of the ordinary to have an ELP master plan and working with a district that's in the expedited program, and we modify a master plan 3, 4, 5 times because of just funding or just decisions or enrollment changes. So So anyway, the next steps is this allows ELP approval in July. The controlling board then can set aside the particular funding in August. Third party assigned to monitor the design and construction. We already know who that is. They will review the documentation to make sure it's done to their standards. And then the 26% credit will start. So any spend that the district makes after that, credit will be earned. And then additionally, later on, existing building assessments, information will be provided by us and some of our engineers based off the 10-year-old dated information. We will then update recommendations and then continue to refine and edit the master plan. So there'll be subsequent master plan discussions here with you guys to get it close to the new high school that we're moving towards. So. Any questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, the updates are always so thorough. I think you're keeping us abreast
Well,
of everything really well.
I hope to come with more than 2 slides. So
Oh, no
future
worries.
ones, I'm going to have some more imagery and concepts and things that you guys can react to. But as I said, we're just in this a lot of communication, a lot of just locking things down, and then really things will start really moving this summer. So
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Sears, did you have anything to add to the?
I do not have anything to add at this point. Thank you.
Right. Moving forward, next on the agenda is the public hearing. I won't bore you with the details of the public hearing announcement, but this is the time during our meeting where if there were any questions or concerns regarding the said announcement, they can be brought forth now. All right. Seeing none, we will proceed. Next on the agenda is public participation. Looks like we have no one signed up this evening for public participation. So again, we can proceed with the items. The next set of items on the consent agenda, and that would be the approval items for the treasurers. Before I go through them, Mr. Morrow, was there anything you needed to add or discuss?
Yeah, I have a couple items. Item 1 is an addition from the work session. I wanted to take a minute to give kudos to my staff and everybody in the district who deals with money in any way. King's is a pretty large organization. Excuse me. We had over $162 million either come in or out of the district last year. And that number is just going to increase. And while not perfect, we put in enough diligence and make every effort to be as perfect as possible. And we were awarded the Auditor of State Award for 2023. And we were also awarded the highest achievement in open and transparent government. So these are 2 traditions in Kings that we absolutely plan to continue. And once again, I want to thank my staff and everybody else in the district who contributes to our day-to-day functions and ultimately receiving these awards.
Put you on the spot, Mr. Morrow. Can you repeat the name of that second award again?
Highest achievement in open and transparent government. That's 4 years in a row. We've gotten the highest rating possible for that.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm being a little facetious with that, but I think it's
Appreciate you pointing
important.
that out.
Yeah, I think it's important that people understand the amount of rigor and effort that goes in from you, from your staff, from our building principals in doing this work. So thank you. Thank you to your staff for setting such a high bar.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then one other item, the last week I had given the board a 26-page forecast report, but I wanted to take a few minutes and go through some of the bigger pieces and bigger takeaways. So have a brief presentation relating to number 4 of the forecast. the board presentation attachment. It's on the agenda, so, yes.
Sorry about that.
All right, you're good. Thank you. So this is one that's on here every 6 months when we approve these. Districts across the state are doing the same thing right now. So twice a year, we present and the board approves a 5-year forecast, which is what we're projecting is going to happen in the next 5 years based on the information we have today. Monthly updates of any drastic changes are given to the board. And as I said, 26-page document that outlines everything in a lot of detail is also posted for the board and for the public. Yeah. Wanted to start really high level. We're going to talk about successes and challenges that we're facing, but I did want to point out that this is something we've showed the community and the board that we do a lot of things as a district to try to be good stewards of community funds. So this is a list that we came up with earlier this year that shows cost saving measures and also revenue generation in the prior approximately 2 years, totaling almost $6 million. So I think it needs said up front that we work very hard on being stewards of the district's money. So also very high level, we ended last year with $11.2 million in our operating account with over 60 million in spend. So we're talking about big numbers, and $11 million is nothing to scoff at, but we run very lean at Kings. So we have a history of that. If you see that kind of orange line across the bottom, it's consistently in that $10 million range. So we don't have a large savings account. So we're generating money and spending it on things that we need. So just to put some perspective to that, 93% of districts in the state have more cash relative to spending than us. I think that's a pretty big metric to show that we're not just hoarding money. When we ask for it, we need it. And when we fight at the state level for it, it's because we need it. So what has not changed since November? It's a good time every 6 months to just look at what's evolving and what's not evolving at Kings. We still keep growing. More students equal more cost. No matter the student, it equals more cost, but we're also seeing an influx of students that have higher costs, and that trend is continuing. Along with that's the rising personnel costs. We need more staff when we have more kids, and also insurance goes up. We pay more in retirement. We pay more for experience. So our personnel costs, which is our biggest cost, continues to rise. And also our purchase service. So this is primarily transportation, student-specific cost, and our utilities. I think that the graph at the bottom is almost kind of jarring when you look at it. This is purchase services by year. In 2022, we were at just over $12 million, and this year we're going to be just over 17. So in 2 years, we've risen $5 million, and that doesn't account for anybody that we're paying on our staff. So we're talking about some big increases in those items. And then also we're still dealing with inflation. It's not as bad as it was, but everything continues to go up, and it's faster than a historical pace. And so what has changed? Honestly, in the past 6 months, there hasn't been any huge changes. We're still in a cycle of our expenses rising faster than our revenues. But we have seen some wins in the revenue department. State aid actually came in higher than we projected, which is obviously a win. And also our investments have done great the past year. We went through years where we weren't making anything on our money. And now we're looking at nearly $1 million in interest income this year to help offset some of our rising expenses. So that's been a huge win for the district. And also I wanted to point out high property value increases are coming to Kings. Auditor Nolan's told me approximately 20%. is kind of across the board in Kings. So home values are going up 20%. Honestly, it's great for the community. It shows how vibrant the community is. It means houses are worth 20% more than he had them on the books, which is a great thing for homeowners. Everybody always thinks my house is going up 20%, so Kings gets 20% more revenue, and it's not. It's just not the case. That's not how property taxes work in Ohio. So if we can go to the next slide, kind of visualize that a little bit. So if you look on the left-hand kind of box under valuation, that shows that as of last tax year, 2023, the value in Kings was $1.2 billion, which has risen rapidly over the past decade. So we're adding approximately 20% onto that in the following year, and then kind of historical trend for the years after that. And that yellow box shows the tax rate going down as values go up. So right now we're collecting 40 mils, and we're projecting by 2027 that to be over 32. So you're seeing big tax rate decreases. So that's shown on the right-hand slide in the blue columns. You can see our property tax revenue isn't projected to go up very much. So home values are estimated at around 23% in the next 4 years, and our revenue grows about 6%. So our main revenue driver is growing at less than 2% a year. That's the challenges that we face as a locally funded district.
There's quite a difference between 20% and 2%.
Correct. Absolutely. It's Ohio's system. We deal with it, but I think it really shows the challenges that we face as a locally funded district. Other main revenue is state aid. This year, we are going to realize about a $1.4 million increase compared to prior years. And then that number actually is projected to go down next year, because as Kings becomes more wealthier in the eyes of the state, they actually take money from us because they say you guys can pay for yourself. And then that's projected to be essentially flat going forward, because as we appear more wealthy to the state, aid doesn't increase for us. But that's also an image that's kind of crazy to look at, that they'll give you an increase and then the next year they say, well, your valuation's gone up, so we're going to take some back. When we just saw on the slide before that, we don't get very much just because of the property going up in value. Go ahead. Won't spend too much time on this one, but I mentioned our personnel, just expenses in general going up. This goes into a little bit more detail about how that goes up. We staff to enrollment and the needs of our kids. Staff gets a raise just naturally based on experience, and then they also negotiate contracts with the board and administration. And then insurance, that's another biggie. We've been fortunate the last 2 years to have really favorable renewals based on our claims data that's coming in. I don't foresee that being as favorable, so I've put that up to a market trend of 9%. We spent $8 million on health insurance. So, 9% on top of that, you're talking about almost $800,000 just in health insurance by itself without even giving anybody any money. Purchase service, once again, we kind of touched on this earlier, but I did want to point out a couple numbers. We negotiated and bid out our transportation and still caught a 10% increase, which was partially offset by the board's action to change our tiering system across the district. So that helped kind of dampen that 10%. And then our utilities, we saw a 36% increase this year. I know everybody's seen it at their house. It would have been higher, but we locked in rates prior to those full rates coming in. So it could have been a decent amount worse than the 36. So while that amount's ugly, that's part of the successes from the first slide that we got those locked in at an opportune time to where we didn't realize the full increase possible.
Thank you, Mr. Lucky, for locking those prices in.
We were signing contracts on, I think it was New Year's Eve to get it done.
Yeah.
And then just some kind of big picture ongoing work, continuing state funding advocacy. I noted that as a win up front. And we had a community group that lobbied the state and strategized on what we could do to increase our funding. And us and similar districts were able to increase funding this year, which is a big deal. Long-term planning, we'll have more conversations about the long-term financial picture of the district. And then a cash balance policy. This is something that the board brought back up to me actually and said we need to look at doing that, to have it in writing from the Board of Education that once we hit certain metrics that you need to do something, superintendent and treasurer. So we'll have some additional conversations on that as well. And more than happy to take any questions on any of the items.
With the state funding, where you talked about next year will be, could you go back a couple slides for me, Dawn? Yeah, to this one. Thank you. So is that, I'm just making sure I understand this right. That's baseline. The fiscal year 2024 increases baseline from what we got this last year. And that's 1.3 more.
Correct.
Okay. And then, so then the next year, that's almost 300K less than what we will have baselined after this year.
Yes, so
Okay,
it comes a new
gotcha.
baseline every year. So
I
we're
gotcha.
still gonna get, it's a great question. We're still gonna get more in 25 than we got in 23. It's just less than we got in 24.
Yeah.
Because every year the state formula updates with new valuations, new income data. So based on the income data and valuations, we believe that we're gonna appear more wealthy, like a lot of districts across the state, honestly. So the state basically says, you guys got more wealth. We don't have to give you as much.
So that valuation is really a tipping point then, because we're going to rebaseline and lose 297K. And then even year over year for the next 3 years, we're not making that back up.
Correct.
No.
That's correct.
Could you go back to the 5-year forecast snapshot of King's finances? The yellow line, yes. I see the yellow line going below the bars. What does that mean?
We have no money.
That's what I was afraid of.
So that goes back to the long-term planning piece that we're really going to get fired up here to talk about not being in that situation. You could see we've done a good job historically of keeping that line low to where we're not hoarding cash, but it also means we don't have a big savings account. And obviously that's been aided in the past by new revenue streams. So we're going to have conversations on that
So
yellow
where it's-
orange line.
So where it says 2025, is that fiscal year 2025, which means next school year?
Correct.
And then there's a big drop
Mhm.
for following school year.
Yes. So
Okay.
as I mentioned, it's not just us, everybody's expenses are rising a lot. And when our main revenue streams growing at less than 2% a year, there just becomes a natural tipping point.
And this is our operational money.
Correct. This is our main operating account, and we'll have approximately $70 million come in and out of that account this year. So you're talking about pretty big numbers with only $11 million in cash. So we'll have some follow-up meetings with the administration and board to talk about this in particular.
And you'll share some ideas on what we can do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You have anything?
No, I don't have
Alright.
anything else to add. Just
Alright.
point out that number 9 and 11 are the bond issuance and anticipation note resolutions that Andy Brossart with Bradley Payne, our municipal advisor, talked to the board about last week. And then the OFCC ELP agreement that Mike Mendenhall, our owner's rep with MCS, talked about last week, and Charlie Janigan with SHP discussed today.
Correct. All right. Thank you, Mr. Morrow. So with that, may I have a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? The Auditor State Award, the minutes for the work session, minutes for the regular meeting, the 5-year forecast, financial items, and the VFW scholarship, which is much appreciated, excuse me, and 7, the public records log.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve the item 9, the aforementioned bond issuance resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve item 11, the bond anticipation note resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I will second the motion. Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
And lastly, for the treasurer, may I have a motion to approve item 13, the OFCC ELP agreement resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. Right, and next on the consent agenda are the approval items for the superintendent. Mr. Sears, do you have anything to add, sir?
2 opportunities tonight. One to approve the field trip to Washington DC for our 8th graders, and then the distinct honor of our Board of Education to approve the candidates for graduation for the class of 2024. I will have an opportunity on Sunday to say a few things about that, but I will afford the board an opportunity this evening to recognize our students, and then also we will approve their candidacy for graduation.
And can you remind us of that number?
351 is on this list.
Board have anything to add or say with regards to the candidates?
Is this our largest graduating class? I'm asking you a tough question,
I-
Mr. Sears.
I don't have any long-term recollection of that, so I can find out, but I don't believe it is, so.
Yeah, I think we've had 1 or 2 little, a little larger than
Okay.
that, but it's one of the larger ones for sure. Yeah. All right, well, with that, may I have a motion to approve items 1 and 2?
I will make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Groff,
351 yeses.
Like that.
Ms. Cowan,
Another 351.
Ms. Phillips,
Oh, I might as well make it unanimous on that 351 yeses.
Mr. Skrull,
351 yeses.
Mr. Belfrom.
350 yeses. Class of 2024, you're official.
Congratulations.
Make sure you're on time Sunday. 9 o'clock. Next on the consent agenda are the approval items for the assistant superintendent regarding HR and business. Mr. Spinner, anything you need to add, sir?
Nothing to add this evening.
All right. And Mr. Lucky, I don't see anything needed to be added. Just making sure. All right. So with that, may I have a motion to approve the items listed here, personnel items, the resolution substitute teacher pay, the OHSAA membership for the next school year, the job descriptions. Items 1 through 4.
I'll make the motion.
I will second the motion. Mr. Morrow?
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
I will abstain from that vote.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
All right. And then we have item 6, the personnel savings plan. Just clarifying, Mr. Spinner, nothing to add there, sir?
So this is the third year that we ventured down a personnel savings plan. This is a win-win for the district and the employee. This is Suzanne Dwyer. She has an opportunity to retire at an unreduced benefit through the STRS and start collecting STRS monies that she has contributed to over the lifetime of her career. We then can hire her back at a lower step, bring back all of that experience that she brings to the district. And that's a savings for the district as well.
So Ms. Dwyer is not quite ready to do the traveling yet, which glad to hear. All right, with that, may I have a motion to approve item 6, the personnel savings plan?
I will make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom, I did want to, I thank you for asking, and I did want to respond. Mrs. Phillips had a question last week about a property that was being cleared across from Sinclair. So that
Yes.
is a future Wawa gas station.
Oh, really?
Currently.
With the subs and all that, huh?
So, yeah, just wanted to make sure that hated I didn't have a response last week.
Appreciate that, Mr. Lucky. That's valuable information.
Wes, that's.
That's
That was a great update, Mr. Lucky.
Yes, yes, very
Now we
timely.
just get a Bucky's.
Bucky's is coming to Huber Heights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not close enough.
no, it's not close enough. We're gonna get sidetracked here real quick. Next on the consent agenda are the approval items for the assistant superintendent regarding the educational programs. Mrs. Martin? Nothing to add. All right. So with that, may I have a motion to approve items 1 and 2, the contracts for the Wayne County ESC and Hamilton County ESC?
I'll make that.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda are the items presented by the board. We have 2 items. May I have a motion to approve the superintendent contract beginning August 1st, 2024 through July 31st of 2029?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Merrill, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom.
Yes. And next on that same line of items is the requested approval of the treasurer on the contract from August 1st through 2024. Sorry, I need coffee, through July 31st of 2028. May I have a motion to approve that item as well?
I will make that motion.
I'll go ahead, Mr. Bell.
I will second the motion. Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
Next on the consent agenda are the legislative updates. Mr. Skrull?
Thank you. So I have included a list of 12 pages of legislative updates this month. So there's been a lot going on, but I'm really only going to speak to one of them. And this is House Bill 250, which the House made the amendments and voted 87-0 in favor. Basically, it just started revising the military enlistment seal and renaming it the military seal. But then it went on to add some items about cell phone usage and transportation items for districts. Reason I'm mentioning this is because it is now heading to Governor DeWine for his signature. So feel free to read through the remaining 12 and 2/3 pages and let me know if you have any questions on any of these items.
What was that House bill again, Mr. Carl?
House Bill 250.
50. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Scoville? Next on the agenda for this evening are the Student Achievement Liaison updates. Mrs. Phillips?
Okay, first off, just the Power 5 skills, because everything that I'm showing tonight seems to be related to the Power 5 skills. And then just last week, we had the Senior Discovery Research, and you'll see that we had some students working together, collaborating. They had a thesis statement, and then they told us how they were going to go about doing their research, either by doing surveys, looking online for what other districts might be doing, or other companies, depending on the topic that they were studying. So healthy spaces, happy faces, cultivating an effective classroom, defining what exactly a good teacher is, from blueprint to glory, crafting the ultimate athletic field house for high school excellence, the impact of high school sports participation on academic performance, kind of get the drift of the ones I pulled out and used. And then from motivation to stress, unpacking the effects of parent pressure on high school students' academic engagement, and rethinking success in the college debate. Is college the best way to succeed for you? And then a few pictures of the tour from Winton Woods. The first picture is of the media center, keeping it an open space where students could drop in to check out books whenever they wanted, leading to their leadership, their collaboration, if they have a problem that they need to solve, to make sure that they can continue to think critically. The second picture at Winton Woods showed an area where students could sit and work together. You'll notice some electrical outlets above each of the tables for their different electronic equipment. And then the next picture is just showing another configuration of, in the hallways, spaces for students to learn. So if they're doing learning that's kind of gone off topic into something that they want to do, a place where they can work with someone else and do that, and not be confined to staying within the classroom. And then the first picture on this one is the learning stairs, which is an interesting concept because on either side, you'll see their regular stair steps, the correct distance apart. And then up through the center is places for students to sit and have conversations together, sit and do homework, whatever it is they might want to do. And that's located in this center of the building. And then the next one again is just showing hallways with spaces for students to do work. And if we think back to what the previous slide was on the senior research, what a great way to have seniors doing that research when they could also show all of us, as was the case, where they could bring something up on screen instead of having to have all of the paper pencil boards that they had to create. So just another way to look at project-based learning when it's a lot of individual things. And then on to Fairborn School. First off, I love the lights. When you enter Fairborn, that is an open cafeteria area where they could go through. And much like what we have at the high school now. And then the second picture, of course, is the stage. And this was a 2-story stage where there was seating at the top part and then seating on the floor, and then also an orchestra pit. So I thought that was interesting. In the last picture on that frame, you can see soundboards. So it's a music practice room where 1 or 2 students or 3, depending on the size, could go in and play. And Fairborn had learning stairs, and you can see they were working on carpeting the center section where the students would be sitting, and they had railings going down designating you go up on one side, down on the other for that. And then across from the learning stage is the picture of the big screen TV where you could have announcements showing, you could have sport game films that the team would be watching or viewing, or a presentation. And then the next picture, the last picture on that one, shows an area for students to just, again, work in the hallway space. So not only is it an area for traffic coming and going from classrooms, but also a space for students to work outside of the classrooms. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips, Mrs. Grant.
Ms. Groff?
Yeah, for attending the tours and administrative team. Shane, Charlie, thank you. Oh, he's not here anymore. Well, with that, we'll be moving to deciding to adjourn just to the class 2024. Make sure you're on time on Sunday. All the fun thing about going, there's so much that goes behind the scenes before we get to come sitting on the floor to film the program. There's a lot of things that the teachers and the staff do. And it's just a great time. It's a moment in your life. So we'll look forward to seeing you all there on Sunday. With that, I may have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
I will make that motion.
Second motion, Mr. Mann.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
Have a good night. See you Sunday.